All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Again, apologies for the audio issues in the previous video. I don't know what happened, but it just was really crappy audio. And so what I'm going to do today in this video is just share another quick tip in DaVinci Resolve in regards to color grading and something that can really help you in your color grading process. So let's hop on into DaVinci Resolve here. And again, so just quickly going to go over my project settings. So this is a color managed timeline, meaning that it's in a color science of DaVinci YRGB, timeline color space of DaVinci wide gamut / intermediate, and an output color space of Rec 709 gamma 2.2. So once you have that all set up, just hit save, and then we can begin with our node tree. So first things first, what I want to do is I want to add a color space transform for our conversion from S-Log into DaVinci wide gamut. I did shoot on Sony, so that's why it was with S-Log. So as you can see here, we have our input color space of Sony S gamut 3 Cine and the input gamma of S-Log 3, and then an output color space of DaVinci wide gamut and an output gamma of DaVinci intermediate. So then and then I should mention that we also turned on the tone mapping method to luminance mapping, and then just used a custom max input of 10,000 nits. So then going over to our color space transform at the end of our node tree. So this is the one that converts our timeline from DaVinci wide gamut intermediate to Rec 709 gamma 2.2 or 2.4. So as you can see, we have our settings here. Again, luminance mapping with a custom max input of 10,000 nits. All right, so once we've converted our image over to Rec 709, what I want to actually first do is just quickly turn on my LUT node, and I'm just going to be dragging and dropping a LUT on here just to create a look for our overall image, just so it's not in Rec 709 while we're doing our further adjustments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my LUT bundle that I recently produced. It's called the Endurance LUT bundle, and I'm just going to drag and drop the Adrenaline LUT on here. So this one is kind of tailored towards sports and action shots. And so what we can do is we can go to our key here and just adjust the key output gain to reduce the amount of effect the LUT has on our footage. And if you're happy with how it is, you can just leave it as is. So I'm just going to leave it like that for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to touch on saturation in this video. And so I'm going to show you guys a way to adjust saturation rather than simply using the slider. Because as you can see, it's doing all sorts of things to my image as I'm simply manipulating the saturation slider. So instead, what we want to do is we want to right click on our saturation node, and we want to go down to the color space, and we're going to select HSV. So this is the hue, saturation, and value / brightness color space. And then what we want to do is we want to right click on the saturation node again, and we want to make sure that we're only working in channel 2. So let's uncheck channel 1 and channel 3. Perfect. And so the reason for that is because channel 2 is the channel that's focusing strictly on saturation. So by unchecking channel 1 and channel 3, we're basically ensuring that we're not going to be manipulating the overall hues of the colors in our image, and we're not going to be manipulating the brightness of the colors of our image by manipulating this node. So we're strictly going to be focusing on saturation. Unlike when you use the saturation slider, you're manipulating all three of these. So this just isolates saturation, and it allows for a more filmic adjustment of the saturation. So we're just going to be in our color wheels here, and we're going to be focusing on our gamma and gain wheels. So we want to just be focusing on these wheels because the gamma focuses on the midtones, and that's where the majority of our color saturation lies. And then we're also going to be using the gain to adjust the saturation in our highlights. So first things first, let's use our gamma wheel. So let's increase that a bit here. And then let's just bring down the value of our gain wheel. So we can just play around with this as much as we want to whatever values we want, just until we reach an image that looks satisfying to us and our desired look. So let's just turn it off, turn it on, off and on. So as you can see, it's very subtle, but it's very aesthetic. The saturation isn't over the top. It's not so blatantly obvious that it takes away from the overall image. It's just a very fine-tuned adjustment. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that little tip. That's all for the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.